just do explain to us essentially what the court has said as far as Ladakh essentially is concerned, and what to expect in terms of the court's verdict on Ladakh?
Well, Sneha, we need to remember that the same day on which this abrogation was done, the Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act was also introduced in the Rajya Sabha, through which two separate union territories were created, one of Jammu and Kashmir and one of Ladakh. So while on Jammu and Kashmir, the Supreme Court categorically said that statehood needs to be restored at the earliest, which in fact, Sneha, very important rider, was a statement made by the centre itself before the Supreme Court. They had said that they are making attempts to ensure that statehood is restored and that elections happen in the state as early as possible. In fact, just a few days back, even on the floor of the House, Home Minister Amit Shah had said that it is the prerogative of the Election Commission to declare the dates for elections in Jammu and Kashmir. But specifically with respect to Ladakh, what the Supreme Court has said is that creation of Ladakh as a union territory through the J&K Reorganization Act is something that has been upheld. At the same time, they've also upheld the presidential order that had abrogated Article 370, although they have said that Article 367 could not have been amended by the centre in the manner that it was done, because it indirectly amends Article 370 itself.
Nalini, in fact, I'll just ask you to be with us. Hold on to your thoughts. You know, Altaf Bukhari is also now joining us from the Jammu and Kashmir Apni party, is the president of the party. I want to ask you, how do you respond to what the court essentially has said today as far as upholding the validity of the abrogation of Article 370?
With a heavy heart, we accept the court's decision. We expect it otherwise, because the politicians for 75 years misled us. They always made us to believe that 370 was permanent thing and it would not have been possible for the central government to abrogate it. Having said so, I would now urge the Prime Minister and the Home Minister that the domicile law, which after our persuasion they gave us in 2020, whereby there is jobs and land guarantee for the domicile, it may be given some sort of a constitutional cover like 371 or something else, number one. Number two, we believe that this was a political issue, should not have gone to court. People who went to the court should have tried to get it sorted out through political means, a political roadmap. But you know their politics.
Altaf Bukhari ji, Pooja Shali here. I have a question. Yes. I have a question. Your J&K Apni party is actually a new party that had come in the past 4 years. It's a new representation. It is very inclusive. It has included people from other communities and groups as well. Do you think that it was time over for National Conference and PDP, and parties like you also deserve to come forth, deserve to have a voice, and that it can be a new start in the Kashmir Valley specifically and in J&K, and with the direction coming from the court, restore statehood too as soon as possible?
No, today we feel vindicated on one thing, that we took the initiative in 2020, came down to Delhi in March, met the Prime Minister, met Home Minister, and secured at least by an order, by a notification, reservation of jobs for the domiciles of J&K, all jobs, and land 95% for the domiciles of J&K. Now that is one. Number two, I don't think political parties, there is any end to them. And these theatric parties, they are used to theatric, they will play theatrics, because it suits Delhi also that theatrics are played in Jammu and Kashmir.
The court has said today, Altaf Bukhari, that the provision itself was a temporary one. The provision itself was not a permanent solution or a permanent provision of Article 370, and that's the reason why scrapping it was only right.
I'm happy the younger generation will now not be misled. What to say of younger generation? Even people like me believe these politicians. We thought what they said was the gospel truth. The court has proved it otherwise. But now the elections should be held soon. Court has set a deadline. Why not in March? Because we have had elections in February also. There are precedents. The statehood could precede it. We could have statehood as early as, I say, tomorrow. Because everything is in place in Jammu and Kashmir.
All right. I'm going to thank you, Altaf Bukhari, for joining us with your views on what has been said by the Supreme Court of India today as far as upholding the validity of the abrogation of Article 370 is concerned. Pooja continues to be with us, and Nalini as well as Anisha from the Supreme Court of India. I'll just try and get a sense of whether we can also go across to Ashraf Vani or not. We had a sense of what's happening in Jammu. Celebrations have broken out. Anisha, if you can hear me right now, I just want you to take us to the highlights of essentially what has been said by the court today in terms of the powers of the president as well. The court essentially has ruled out that they don't see anything mala fide in what has been said and done by the president.
Well, Sneha, let's go with, on this step by step. First of all, what the court has said that the presidential order CO 273 was valid, which means that the president did have the power to abrogate Article 370. Secondly, that there was no special status or said, I beg your pardon, that Jammu and Kashmir did not have sovereignty after it had acceded to the Union of India. Thirdly, what the court has said is that CO 272, which had amended the provision of Article 370, was in fact invalid. However, because the president did have the power to abrogate, there was no requirement or mandatory requirement as it is of the recommendation or concurrence of the state or the Constituent Assembly. What is also very important is the fact that the court has said that statehood must be restored as soon as possible, that elections are a must in a constitutional democracy like India, and that is why by 30th of September 2024, the Supreme Court has directed elections must take place in Jammu and Kashmir. However, at the same time, the carving out of Union Territory of Ladakh has been upheld by the Supreme Court because the J&K Reorganization Act, the validity of that is not been gone into by the court. Additionally, also, we have to look at what Justice Kaul has said. Justice Sanjay Kishan Kaul, who's himself a Kashmiri, has given a separate but concurring opinion.